Hi guys and welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. I don't know in what time are you seeing this, but thanks for watching. Hi, my name is Eduardo. I'm going to talk about a very specific topic, something that can help you during your class and how to give your class. I'm going to talk about the focus on the teacher, classroom management, teacher-student interaction. This is a post by Newman in 1995 about the language teaching methodology. I'm going to talk about a very specific topics that can help you to improve your class and also to correct your way you do your class. Okay, so pay attention and make sure of these points to be very helpful during your class. Okay, let's talk about something very important: teacher talk. I'm going to have a minute to think about the teacher talk. I'm going to make you a question, and this is the question we're going to answer. What is the appropriate amount of teacher talk during the class? Okay, now you have think just in a minute. Let me read you something that Newman posted. In a in an in-service program in which teachers were asked to record and analyze one of their lessons, one of their most frequent comments made by teachers asked what surprised them most was the amount of talking they did. Okay, this is a, this is something that I do personally myself. Okay, one day I asked my student to record my classes, and then at the finish, at the night when I was seeing the video, I I take the minutes that I was spent talking by explaining the topic. I was talking like 25 minutes to the class. Okay, a class of 1 hour. That was almost the half of the class talking, and less doing the activity or the feedback or the warm up, etc. Okay, as you know, the teacher talk are all the as when the teacher starts talking about the topic, about feedback, about the warm-up, or about explaining the ideas of the topic that you're explaining. When we are teaching, we need to expect the points of the amount of time correctly of the class we're doing. Okay? The first point we need to check it out by doing this teacher talk is is the point when the teacher starts to talk. Okay? This is the point of your lesson when you decide to start by explaining the idea, but also this is going to the second point. What motivates the teacher to realize the talk, and if they do the talk, if it is spontaneous or unspontaneous? According to the same example, okay, the teacher starts to talk about the topic and start to explain the ideas, but what the teacher add to the talk, it's something valuable, it is something that apport to the class, or it is something unspontaneous just to the teacher set. Okay, this is the points you need to check it out when you're doing your class. Another thing you need to check it out is the point 3, the value of the talk, if it's necessary or if it's not. Okay, most of the teachers have this chitty chalk. We tend to break the ice with the students, but most of the teachers has to the tendencies to spend time chitty chalking with the students and less time by apporting to the main idea of the topic. Okay, as we as teachers, we need to, yes, we need to talk, but we need to add the appropriate and also to the correct way to we can add ideas to the topic that can help out the student to understand it. But and also we cannot spend a whole the class talking, because we also need to have a feedback, and we also need to have the opinions of the students. What are the ideas, what they can add to the topic? This is another idea of Selma. Okay, I'm going to read it out for you. When we are teaching a foreign language, we need to use the less possible our mother tongue. Okay, in many foreign language classrooms, the teacher and also the students use more their L1 than their L2. So this is bad because we're teaching a different language and we cannot use all the time our mother tongue. We need to use the less possible our mother tongue. Why is that? Because we need to add more to the target language that the students need to appropriate. And also, multiple factors can affect this if the learners can get the learning of hearing this L2. Okay? So you need to force this L2 to improve their students to improve their target language to have a more complex languages. So you need to improve them to start talking in a L2. And also, if you're going to talk in your L2. Don't do it on your mother tongue because it doesn't correlate with the main idea of the topic that you're talking about. Okay? Another thing you need to consider is the teacher questions. This is a topic together, okay? The first question we need to answer is, what is the amount of time a teacher can wait for an answer? We previously talked about the talk the teacher do during the class. Now we're going to talk about the waiting time the teacher do or the teacher expect to expect an answer from the student. So let me read this according to Rowe. A wait time is necessary to give the students to think and analyze the answer before attempting to respond. Okay? An average teacher can expect just one second, 2 seconds to expect an answer from the student. That is the minimum time of expecting an answer from a student. Uh, when we elaborate a question, we expect that the student answer the question just like this. Okay, can be possible. Okay, the students need more time to formulate their answer, to add their ideas, and also to give them the freedom to speak during the class when you're doing these questions. When the teacher interfere on this waiting time, you are forcing the students to not participate. The bad way when you don't have a bad time, a bad wait time during your questions is that the same amount of students can answer to your questions, but the other students can get isolated because you're not doing the proper time to them to give them to answer and also to participate, to expound their ideas, their opinions to the topic. Just saying that, what do you think is the wait time is enough? What do you think, or do you think is a correct waiting time is enough? Okay, adding more time adds more participation to your class. Just add 4 seconds to 6 seconds maximum. That this time can give the students to formulate the questions and be productive on their class. Okay, the students can show more participation, and also the students that don't participate can add more ideas, and the class, well, gets more speaking. That's what you want on a L2 classroom. Okay, but what are the benefits to add more waiting time to your questions? Okay, the first one is to increase the length of answers in the average students. It is said that the same students always ask answers to the questions of the teacher. But if you add more waiting time to them, the students, all the students that don't participate, can have the time to participate, and also you have to listen and has you give them the opportunity to participate during the class. The second point of benefit is that you increase your spectacleification during your class. Dari said that the student can think more and has more clearly their ideas, has more cohesion and comprehension about the topic, about the question you are making. Third point that adds more that it is benefit to add more waiting time is to students' response increase. That is the most important benefit point of adding more waiting time. Okay, if you want to participate class, if you want to everybody's raising their hands participated during their class, you can ask, you can pardon, add more time of your waiting time. A 4 point you of benefit you could have or adding more waiting time is to interferential statements increase. Okay, we always have this student that doesn't want to participate and he says some things that doesn't have to be anything with the class. So when you force everybody to participate, well, these interferential statements decrease because everybody is participating according to the topic, because everybody is understanding and everybody has the opinion to think and to try to give the answer. And also, the failures response decrease. Okay, when the student gives you the answer to the question you formulate, well, if it is wrong, you will have the opinion, you will have the opportunity to feedback them and change that mistake or that slip of your student. Because let's say this, if your student never participate and he gets the topic, maybe he makes a mistake, and that mistake can turn into fossilized mistake. These mistakes can turn in a very serious problem when the students can the students will be learning more of this L2, because this mistake is going to stay there if you don't correct them. And well, the last point of adding more time is to the students generally made a greater verbal contribution. This is all because, well, all the students are participating, all the students are adding ideas, opinions, verbal contributions to, and that makes your topic more interesting and more successful, because you are making all the students contribute, and well, all the students are correlated with themselves. So this topic we have the second one. While is while the most of the teacher decrease their waiting time when elaborate their questions, the students show less participation than the usual students always attempt to attend. As I said, when you have a minimum wait time to 1 second, 2 seconds, their range or the range of students that can answer are always going to be the same ones that knows the topic, that have a more complex language are the one. What about the other students? What about the other students that doesn't have a complex language? Okay, that's what you need to have more waiting time on that. Also, the teachers can be elicited the students to participate, because you cannot always have the same number of students to answer your questions. Yeah, it is good, but when you elicit to your students, you decrease the participation in all the students. So listening, it could be a very good way to make all the students to participate, to tell them your ideas, and to tell them uh, how what can they add to the topic. Also, we need to accept that one learner need to speak in a class to speak out the target language. This is meant this is an opportunity for the students that doesn't have a complex language to develop or to evolve their L2, because you are giving them an opportunity to participate and also to develop their idea and have a more complex language. Why is that? Because if he makes a mistake, you correct them and it is solved. And he goes with that. But how do we change these aspects during the class? One way is to monitoring the aspects of teaching in an audio tape or a videotape, teaching our several lessons. Okay, you can videotape yourself, you can audio tape yourselves to see the amount of talk you do, as I do. Okay, the other thing you need to, or you need to do to improve your classes is to, the teacher has these certain action zones of asking. Okay, these certain zone of action zones are the zones that when the teacher always asks that question, because these action zones are always the front sides, because okay, maybe on the front sides are the students that has a more complex languages, that more that know more about the topic, and on the back they have the students that, well, know less about the topic. So break those action zones, ask on all the area during the classroom. Another point we need to add that is very important is the questions that we formulate. Okay, we can make a question very good, but a question needs to have an answer. Okay, you don't need to have a referential question. A referential question is a question that you don't know the answer. So always have clearly questions that the students can answer. You have referential questions, don't expect any of your students answer you. Okay, let's go to the second topic, feedback on a learner performers. Okay, this is the question we're going to ask on this topic. How important is to have a proper feedback on the class? Okay, giving instructions and providing a correct feedback is always possible, it's always positive, sorry, during your student classes. Why is that? Because you can know their mistakes, you can know their opinions, you can comment, you can supervise, you can add ideas, they can add their ideas, just add advices. Well, the feedback has a very, very important topic, very important topic during teaching our classes. But let's try to think on this too. Okay, try to think if you do your class with a correct feedback and you do your class with an incorrect feedback. What is a correct feedback? The positive results of a correct feedback leads to the results that have done it correctly, to praise their works and also motivate your students. On the second type, you have a bad feedback. That is the name. Okay, we can affect the behavior of the student during the class and also decrease the motivation to participate of the student, and also we can poorly assess them during their works. Also, much of the feedback provided by teachers seems to be rather automatic rather than affect the learner's doubtful. It is said that if we use when we're doing this talk of feedback, we can we can use poorly our selection use of words. When we are doing a feedback, we can use words like this is bad, this is wrong, this is a mistake, this is this is okay. We can use that. Okay, there are bar words where when we are doing a feedback. Okay, so I'm going to present you the good interjections you can use by doing the feedback. This is sounds like good, okay, it is good, very good. You can do it better. Let's try it harder this time. What is that? What are you trying to say? These interjections can help you with the students to be improving you, to correct these ideas, and also to have a good feedback during your class. Okay, if you do this bad feedback, you can lead to a bad intonation during your class and also repeating your students answers. Okay, that is a bad feedback. Okay guys, so don't do it on your class. Another thing we need to check it out about the feedback, it's the where of how we do the feedback. Okay, is the number of students of how we do the feedback. So we always give the feedback to the same students? No, that's no. Okay, we need to give the feedback to all the amount of students possible so we can know their opinions, the responses, and also we can show them the results. If they have mistakes, solve that mistakes. That is a correct way to have a good feedback. Okay, don't always stay with the students that sit on the front. Are we talking about the action zones and have a more complex language? Don't do that. Give feedback to all your students. Okay, let me read it just. According to Gatechno, a specific feedback has an important role in a foreign language teaching, who argues that praise and criticism are conventionally delivered breeds dependency relationship between teacher and learners. Okay, it is simple. Having a bad teacher doesn't provide a correct feedback. Okay, it is a bad student. Why is that? Because the student can correlate with the teacher, and the student, if he can correlate with the teacher, he can learn because he immediately block you and won't let you mm, teaching you. Don't let you teaching because you are giving a bad feedback and also you are criticizing him. So that's a no. You always need to have the correct way to give a feedback and also the correct way we use our words to use this feedback. Another thing we need to do on this is the classroom management in action. We talk about all the points we need to do to have a correct way to teach during our classroom in an L2. So now we're going to do a little feedback with you according to talk about our lessons. Okay, let's try to feedback some of the points we need to check out. We need to check during our class. The one, always have search areas in which you focus on things you need to improve. Okay, a good teacher is the one that always change the ways of teaching. A bad teacher is the one that teach in the same way. Second one, the amount of type of talking you do during the class and check his positive change that have on your students. Okay, always check the amount of time you talk. Okay, you cannot spend the whole class talking. You can also need the students to be participating. Third one, the questions are really important and must be correctly formulated, and we need to monitor the type of questions we're asking of the student. We talk about this, we cannot give we cannot and question make questions with are not relative, that we cannot make questions that we don't even know the answers. Okay, the fourth point is on the other part, the wait time. It's necessary. We need to give the students the correct amount of wait time to analyze the questions and formulate their answers. We need to expect a certain waiting time to the students to formulate their ideas and, well, correctly answer it to you. If they answer badly, well, this is our another point, because the feedback. The feedback can add so much valuable to our class, because if a teacher talk with an error correction, this time is going to give your students to improve and to monitor also yourself to receive the correct amount of feedback on their mistakes, their slips, and what are they doing wrong on their L2. That also gives you the opportunity to properly change their way are learning themselves, and also the ideas that they have, opinions. And the most important of them, remember to elicit a different type of students every time. Don't stay with the same students. Always make participate everyone. Remember, a class that everybody participate is a class that has a more contribution and have a more complex language. All of them, okay? Make the students that have a more complex language to help the students that have a less complex language. So this is the points that you can add to your classroom management. I hope you like it. Thank you to paying me this attention. But this is a question just for you. Print practice put in practice this classroom action and tell us how did it goes. Okay, let me write in the comments how did it goes in your class, and thanks for your attention. My name is Eduardo. Thank you for your attention.